Tech. Here we are, Silicon Valley, San Francisco, on the other side of the bay. How do we get it in Oakland? We get it in differently. My brother, Kalimah Priforce, Brooklyn head, now living in the East Bay, is our next up presenter. He loves ties. He told me to tell you all that he's sexy. Make some noise for sexy black men from Brooklyn. Yeah. Y'all know the Oakland in Brooklyn? No, seriously. No, really.
Don't believe that for a second.
Don't believe that. Don't believe the hype. We'll get into it another session. He's the co-founder of Pitch Mixer. Pitch Mixer is actually an entrepreneurial forum for East-based startups. So people get up and pitch their business to investors, venture capitalists, individuals in community, educators, just folks who walked in, and they actually get 10 minutes, unlike the 6 minutes and 40 seconds that the folks get tonight. They get 10 minutes, and sometimes they walk away with big fat checks. And sometimes they walk away with opportunities for folks like you and I to invest in their business for like $25. So I just want to put that out there. He's also an educator in residence for the Hidden Genius Project. And he is the most prolific social media person I have ever met. He retweets, reposts, always, just, no, really, at Priforce, Priforce. I'm telling you, he probably has 10 pictures up in the last minute. So, no, some of us really are into it, like really. So anyway, make some noise for the tech geek nerd maker guy from Brooklyn who lives in Oakland. Our brother, Kalimah Priforce.
My name is Kalimah Priforce, and I am the founder of Qeyno Labs, and which makes educational games for young people. And so the word best describe me is academic, and my presentation is education and innovation for the 99%. And what does that mean when I say 99%? Well, rock the mic or be like money. Those are the two most viable seeming options that young people make about their future, especially in the city. And so 99% of young people only are exposed to a subset of career possibilities. And why is that important? Well, I'm from Brooklyn, New York. I'm from Bed-Stuy specifically. Right? It's Brooklyn in the house. Bed-Stuy, home of Chris Rock, home of Lena Horne, Shirley Chisholm. But I grew up in a group home in Bed-Stuy. And the group home was, they catered to some of our basic needs, like shelter and food, but it was very isolated. You couldn't leave. You wanted to play out in the street. You couldn't go to the library. You couldn't go to the museum. And I love books. I really love books. Pippi Longstocking, Huckleberry Finn, Peter Pan, and Charles Dickens. Charles Dickens is one of my favorites because Dickens had a way of being able to portray how society can forget its children. And those are his words, keep the child in view. And what does that mean to keep the child in view? So, I wish Charles Dickens ran my group home because when I ran out of books to read, I went up to the staff and I asked them for more books. And please, sir, can I read some more? And they say no. And so I did what a lot of 8-year-olds do. I had a hunger strike. And so for 3 days, no food, and I won. So very quickly, I heard the nickname Gandhi, and all I could think about was really to be an international lawyer, see the world, date UN translators, But then tragedy hit home. That's my 18-year-old brother who was shot and killed my freshman year of college, and he also went through the group home system. And I think a lot about what was the difference between his life and my life. That's because at 14, I met this incredible woman named Dr. Lorraine Monroe, who really believed in me. She saw this parentless, homeless kid, and you know, it just believed in me. And so, Dr. Monroe taught me that education, that school is the enemy of poverty. And Dr. Malcolm Gladwell says that poverty isn't desperation, it's not even deprivation. Poverty is isolation. Poverty is isolation. It's isolation from stories. That's what we heard today. We heard about stories. We shared stories with one another, and not all kids get those stories. And so, you know, Charles Dickens, keeping the child in view, what does that mean? Well, you know, in terms of guidance counselors in the United States, the recommended value is $250 per student. 450 average. In California, it's 1,000 to 1. And so what happens when kids are disconnected? Well, in Japan, there's this group of young people called hikikomori, who millions of them stay at home. They don't do anything. And because they feel so disconnected from society. And what happens when people feel disconnected, when they feel alone? Why is it rock the mic or be like Mike? Well, Ludacris, you know, he says that, you know, he dropped the CD, you know, on his block, and 50,000 sold, $7 a pop. Hold the phone 3 years later, steps out the swamp with 10 and a half gators. See, hip-hop will tell you how to go from point A to point B. Biggie, he says, it was all a dream, right? He started with a dream. I used to read Word Up magazine. He started doing his research, right? Okay? You know, he goes on to say that, you know, hanging pictures on my wall, so he created a vision board, right? He has all the lyrics, right? Okay? I let my tape rock till my tape pop. You know, he's from Bed-Stuy. So that means he kept practicing his craft over and over again. And we are an entrepreneurial generation because we kept hearing these lyrics. Those ideas were reinforced in us. When kids look at ESPN and sport documentaries, they see how athletes can go from point A to point B. But when you tell a young person, when a young person says, well, I want to be a doctor, I want to be an astronaut, we say to go to college. By the time they get to college, they learn that to be the next Steve Jobs, to be the next Ben Carson, that starts in middle school, that starts in elementary school. And so they either drop out or they change their majors repeatedly. So, you know, I work to make a career discovery app for young people. A friend of mine, Mindgo Labs, Jason Young, he introduces financial literacy to young people. Then you have nonprofit organizations like the Hidden Genius Project, which I work with, and Black Girls Code, that work with inner city youth, teaching them programming skills and getting them connected to technology. See, these kids are not disconnected, and we've seen recently what happens when kids are disconnected. And so this man named Rajesh Sharma, he's in India, and he takes 2 hours of work every day. And he started school under a bridge, and working with these kids. Because, you know, when we say education innovation for 99%, it's just not about the United States. See, education innovation isn't about an iPad app. It's not about virtual reality. It's when we can make every room into a classroom. It's when we can open their worlds and encourage them to confidently pursue their dreams. School is the enemy of poverty. In the words of Charles Dickens, keep the child in view. In the words of Biggie Smalls, if you don't know, now you know.
Okay, anyway, cool. So we have come to our final presentation.